This month's Holistic Horse Ask the Expert Q&A is from a dog trainer who is a horse owner. She asked me if I found similarities and differences between horses and dogs when training. And my answer to that is yes. I do find a lot of similarities and differences between dogs and horses, especially when training. Between both are related to what motivates each. So the similarities are what motivates each. Dogs and horses have similar motivation. Their differences relate mostly between a horse's prey mentality, mindset, and a dog's predatory mindset. Just to talk a little bit more about the mindset of a prey animal and a predator, to me, in my experience, training my horses, is much easier than training my dogs. And I have 2 labs. Right now I just have Sydney with me. If the camera wants to pan down just a little and capture Sid laying there. The challenging part, though, of training a horse, period, is the fact that they are programmed to receive information in their right hemisphere, their right brain. While predators, us dogs, we receive information and process information in our left hemisphere, which means we organize information. And for horses, for prey animals, the information is processed through their neurosystem, their sensory awareness, and that resides in the right brain. So that makes them immediately go into self-preservation mode. So they either freeze and get really quiet and still to collect information and to hear and tune into their senses, or they go into fight or flight mode. And that's the way all prey animals are hardwired. If they detect something that threatens them or they feel threatened, they're going to go into that mode. So real quickly, understanding the hierarchy of their needs as a prey animal is really, really key to training. I train with the motivation being the relationship. I've worked through whatever I have to work through with that horse to get to the highest motivation. And I know that that is the relationship. They seek relationship. And why do they seek relationship as being such a high motivation for them? Because they want acceptance and they live for relationship. Relationships are so important within the herd dynamic, within intimate relationships that they share with a partner, a mate, as well as the social dynamic and well-being and welfare of the herd. So relationship is extremely important. And while I will use the basic principles of pressure and release to help motivate a prey mindset, a horse, I don't rely on that. And I'll only use it when necessary to get the breakthrough, to get through to them until they feel safe. And they start to tune into me and ask those questions that are so important to being open and engaged. Once we get through and they are trusting me and they're more open, they're looking at me and looking towards me for guidance and leadership, then we use nothing but relationship and praise. And one of the things I want to show, and I'll have the camera show this, is I'm going to call my dog back over. And I want everyone to just watch, or the camera to pan in on, usually 99% of the time, my horses are going to go right where my energy and my focus is. So Sid, come here. Come on, Papa. Sid, come. Come. Come here, pup. Sid, come. Come. She gets a little overwhelmed. Come here. Come. No. Sydney, come. 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 So isn't this interesting that I'm having a harder time calling my dog over, the predator, than I would my horses? And she loves these horses. They grew up together for the last 10 years. She licks them, but she's a little bit overwhelmed being in their space right now because she's getting older. She's very arthritic and she can't move like she used to. So she realizes her weaknesses, physical weaknesses, and it makes her more clingy to me these days and really skeptical around being around the horse's feet. So you have to understand that, because this isn't her personality. I mean, she licks him. She loves these guys. But it's interesting to see the relationship and all of us coming together to be in this space and enjoy this community and the heartfelt space. It's so important. Thank you, Sid. You can go, girl. You can go. Good girl. Good girl. So let's just watch me for a second. Let me do something else with Sydney. Let's see what the horses do. So again, I'm emphasizing their desire to follow praise and to follow love and to be a part of how good that feels. So Sid, come here, Papa. Come on, Papa. Good girl. Good girl, Sid. Good girl. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Yeah. So here comes Smokey. Good girl. Good girl. I call Ledge over. Come here, Lele. And I call him back to share as he gets very jealous. And that's also a sign when your horse is jealous or protective or possessive. That's a sign of intelligence. It is an intelligent emotion. So, good girl, Sid. Just what I wanted to show you guys is how each of them responds to positive praise and what resonates from my heart. And there you go, Ledge. Legend's very ornery this morning. Come here, buddy. Good boy. So Smokey's grooming Sundance right now. That's pretty sweet. I like that. And then he's going to pin his ears and push. They both push her around because they get very jealous and envious of sometimes the space that we share. So I'm in charge. I'm in charge, not you. Just like children. Everybody has to get along. So that's just a very small snippet of time where you get to see everyone, the horses and I and the dog, engaged and sharing space and friendship. And I'm going to go back to talking a little bit more about the similarities and the differences. So the similarities between horses and dogs. Both horses and dogs inherently need an alpha member to maintain rules and social order within their community. So they seek out leadership, dogs and horses. They need a more dominant, strong presence that knows what to do. Usually it's the horse or the dog with the most experience, and usually a female, because she governs and raises the young. Both share in the need for managing and controlling space, the space of their members. So I often refer to horses as being territorial, just like dogs. They're territorial over grazing rights. They're territorial over each other, how possessive and protective they are. So when they're controlling space and managing territory, this is how they establish pecking order and hierarchy, dominance and leadership. So it's very important when you have a social species. Dogs and horses are very social. Both are motivated to seek acceptance from their peers. They want to fit in. The worst thing for a horse, a wild horse especially, is to be cast out or feel alone. And dogs, they need it too. Both are interested in contributing to and participating in the social order and well-being of their community. So horses are very concerned about contribution, and that's part of pecking order and hierarchy. So pecking order is all about establishing where you fit in. Once horses establish where they fit in, like dogs, then hierarchy is formed. And it's a caste system. And once hierarchy is formed, they don't challenge that, especially horses, because they're more passive by nature than a dog. Remember, they have a prey mentality. They have they're programmed to be more quiet and subdued for safety, where dogs or predators like us, we're more aggressive, we're thinkers, we're attackers, we're more forceful, direct line. Horses are very indirect and nonlinear. So when you think about all of that, horses, it's very important to them to have harmony and cohesiveness, just like dogs, but for different reasons. So that's the interesting psychology, or should I say just understanding the psychology of horses and dogs. To me, there are more similarities than there are differences. And why? Because horses and dogs are highly intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and socially intelligent. Any animal species that forms groups, like a herd or a pack, or even a flock, there is a level of intelligence there and a level of social organization. And when you have that, you have to have order, you have to have rules, you have to have a hierarchy, a pecking order, a caste system. I mean, this takes a lot of thought. And while horses don't necessarily live in their left brain and are thinking about this, it's just innate within them. But they have a strong need to make sure that it stays this way, that it becomes this way and it stays this way, that it's maintained. Both dogs and horses are relationship oriented and seek lifelong friendships and mating partners, often mating partners. Neither one, now this is also something you hear about horses. Horses don't want a job, and either does a dog. So a dog's motivation to work is for food. That's their highest need for a dog, is food. Unlike a horse, it's not about food, it's about safety. And a horse's motivation to work is to find relaxation and release. So both horses and dogs have emotional and social intelligence and are included in the healing process of equine and canine assisted therapies. We use both dogs and horses to help heal people in trauma. So it's amazing the similarities. Now the differences between horses and dogs. Again, dogs are driven by a predatory mindset, and that is designed to organize thoughts in the left brain and process information in a more structured, organized manner. When a dog feels threatened, they don't think about running away like a horse. They think about standing, fighting, and becoming aggressive to get the other predator or threat to back down. So their instinct for survival is hardwired, programmed differently than a prey animal. So horses are driven by a prey mindset, and the prey mindset is governed by their right side of their brain. And the right side of their brain is controlled by their neurological system, the body's information processor, should I say. So it's the right side of the brain is the body's information processor through their senses, sensory awareness. Therefore, horses don't think when they feel threatened. They react by means of one of their 3 self-preservation modes, and that would be freeze, fight, or flight. Now, when training a horse, we need to keep in mind that they are motivated by both relationship and leadership. The relationship offers them the level of acceptance and emotional comfort they need to feel within a hierarchy. Leadership offers them the level of emotional and physical safety they need to survive. So there we go. There are the similarities in my experience and study. The similarities between and the differences between dogs and horses. Please feel free to comment, leave a question or comment, and I look forward to seeing you next month in Holistic Horses Ask the Expert. Thank you, Caroline Ryder.